Well, welcome everybody. I think most of you know I'm Myrna Haskell, executive editor of Sanctuary Magazine. I'm really excited about this virtual event. Those of you that have been part of our community probably recognize Mary Therese. Mary Therese, you want to raise your hand there? Because she is also the owner of Can Active Life, but she is the owner of MTY Bookkeeping. And she's been doing this for a long time. She's a bookkeeper and accountant. She offers a range of services, including tax sales, filings, payroll services, bookkeeping, and more. But I'm going to let her explain a little bit more about what she does before she starts our virtual event, Tax Tips for Artists. So you have the floor, Mary Therese.
Hi, thank you. Thank you again for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, Myrna.
Sure.
So I'm Mary Therese, and I'm up in upstate New York and have been in the interior design industry for 23 years, not designing, but on the back end bookkeeping side. So I'm in the accounting side. I started in high-end interior design and somebody's back office and accounts receivable, and then built my way up throughout the years, really diving into the whole business and how it works and have built myself. I've had my own business now for 15 years and it's just grown tremendously. And I'm able to help startups and help people who are more independent start their business, grow their business, scale their business, and just know how to do smart things with their money so that they can save on taxes and have more profit in their business. I really enjoy working with small businesses. It just brings joy to me seeing somebody start and grow. And I work really well with creative types. I think I just always have. It's just something that I enjoy doing. So I can't wait to share some of the things with you tonight. I'll clarify, I am a bookkeeper, not a CPA. So I'm the middle person between you, the client, and the CPA. But I have lots of connections with CPAs and do know a lot of tax laws. I do file sales tax, so that's something I can be a little nerdy on. I was telling Myrna, I'm really proud that my sales tax YouTube has gotten a lot of attention, and you can find it on ChatGPT. ChatGPT recommends my sales tax videos to people. So that was a big
Yay!
accomplishment for me
That
this
was
fall.
wonderful news, Mary
I was
Therese.
very excited about that, but I've been it's sort of I can be a little nerdy when it gets to sales tax. It's very intricate, and especially when you're dealing with designers, there's lots of pieces, parts to it. So I like to read different states' sales tax cheat sheets and codes and figure out and try to help people navigate that system. It's just one of those little things, something I like to do. So. In my free time, I teach water fitness, and I've got two kids. I've got a 15-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl. So, on top of the business, I'm running around driving, playing Uber, and cheer mom and football mom. So, uh, if you'd have any questions, hold them to the end. I will be happy to talk about them, and I will share my screen. If you want me to slow down, just let me know. I will try my best to slow down, but sometimes I get really excited about what I'm talking about, and I'll just start talking about deductions and this and this. So bear with me. All right, so tax tips for artists and creatives, and this is simplifying taxes for creative professionals. And the purpose for this today is to get you just comfortable and your feet dipped in, and we can just simplify things so that it's so not so intimidating for you. I don't want to overcomplicate things, but I also want you to know that you do have options. And this is just going to be the tip of the iceberg. If you do want to talk to me about things in depth, we can do it in the question and answer, and I'll give you some contact info for me later. And the big takeaways I want you to get from this are how you can track income, some deductions you can claim, and some mistakes to avoid. And then the goal of this is to empower you with tax knowledge. I want to make it so again, it's not so scary and you come out of there feeling confident. All right. And why taxes matter for artists and creatives, the business aspect. When you go from it being a hobby to a career, there's a big jump there. So you're talking about major income, not something you're just doing for fun on the weekend or at a craft fair. This is what your main income is. So taxes are going to be a part of this business no matter what. And it's important to be educated about it. Saving money is important too. Proper planning. Again, we're going to go into the whole tracking thing, but I believe in splitting up monies, and we'll talk about this, how splitting monies to prepare for taxes and prepare for retirement and savings also helps avoid messes in the future. And then just the unique situation that you have as an artist, because you do have unique income and unique deductions that aren't so normal to a regular business in everyday life. And that's what makes us so special, right? Key tax concepts for artists are the income types. There's different income types. It's not just one sale. You have different avenues of income, which we'll go through on the next slide. And the taxes, you have a self-employment tax that needs to be recognized. Also, quarterly estimated taxes. I threw that in there because I like to remind people to prepay and save so that you're not shocked at the end of the year with socked with a big tax bill. And then keeping good records and tracking all the income and expenses so that you can find ways to write things off and you can find ways to really understand what you're bringing in and how much your business is costing you and how lucrative it is or how lucrative it can be. All right. So income. I know we have different artists here in this call, but I wanted to just focus on some of the different ways artists can bring in income. There's artwork sales, online and gallery sales, online stores if you have jewelry, online stores if you have some kind of prints that you may do. There's so many different kinds of art that can be sold. Freelance work, if you're doing art for freelance for, let's say, if you're painting murals somewhere at an art museum, you're a freelance artist for some kind of school. There's so many places that do hire freelance. So you have commissions and contracts that you send out. That's another way to make money. Teaching, this is a big one, teaching workshops and classes. In this day and age, past COVID, so many people sign up for workshops for, 6 sessions or 6-week intensives on how to do watercolors or how to do period pieces. So there's so many different ways to make money through teaching. If you have one of those Kajabi accounts or I think School is the new popular one that's online. So there's different ways to make money in teaching. And then royalties. So when you get your licensing fees and publishing fees, royalties are a good way to bring in income as an artist. All right, so we're going to talk about some tax deductions. This is my favorite part because I always love to write something off, right? So we have your studio space, home office or rental. If you didn't know this, you might have studio space and still use some of your home as a space for your business. You can write some of that part of your home off as well as the whole studio space that you're using. So you'll want to talk to your accountant about that. You can actually, there's certain laws that let you actually write a check to yourself for rent if you're using your home for a little bit of uh, your studio space as well as your studio space. Your equipment. I mean, this is everything from your cameras, computers, tools, printers, telephones, anything that you would use that you're bringing along with you to make this art happen. You can deduct that. Your subscriptions for certain things, any kind of like Adobe, if you're an architect or a drawer that does plans, your 3D modeling softwares, things like that, you can write off. Meals, any kind of travel meals, anything that goes along with you being out of that office and creating uh, your art, but traveling to do it. So your airfare, um, hotels, stuff like that. Even when you're traveling for a workshop or you're traveling to go to someone else's events, you can deduct all of that as long as it mentions your business. Marketing, this is a big one, promotion, advertising, your printing for the marketing, the ink for the marketing, the cost of goods that you're promoting. So let's say you bought t-shirts that you were printing on, everything down to the tape that you tape the boxes with, we can write all of that stuff off if it has to do with your business. All of your supplies, materials, and tools that make your beautiful art what it is, we can write all of this off as well. So that's something to consider. Nothing is, there's no way to make your art if you don't have supplies, right? So certain things that you can write off there. And then I don't have utilities in here, but you can definitely write your utilities off for your studio space. Your telephone, if you have a cell phone, you can write that off as well. And you may be able to sneak a little bit in of the house, but that would most likely go into that rent deduction that I was talking about at the beginning. So, our next slide. And how deductions save you money if you're not familiar. I'm going to take a quick sip of this water. Let's say you brought in $50,000 in your annual earnings and you had deductions of $10,000. Your taxable income is going to be $40,000. So as much as that's amazing, and I think that's great that you have that much profit, me as a bookkeeper is going to look for you to bring that profit down. How can we save? Because that taxable income, that's a lot of money of taxable income. So somebody like a, a bookkeeper like myself or your accountant's going to look into ways to bring that profit down either by IRA savings, uh, different kinds of expenses that you hadn't considered in that flywheel from before. Like if there's something in this wheel here that was not deducted, definitely we would take a look at that. I'm not saying having $40,000 profits bad. I'm just saying there's ways that we could save on taxes so that you didn't have to claim all of that as taxable income. All right, so there's tips for staying organized. And there's software that we use for the accounting side, and it's affordable at this day and age. I prefer these over just keeping it on a spreadsheet. So pony up the money for the basic version of QuickBooks, and it's going to save you money in the future. That's how I look at it. And it's also organized for somebody to file your taxes. QuickBooks is the easiest, in my opinion, and my favorite to work with. There's one called FreshBooks, and that one is very pretty and aesthetically nice, but is not 100% ready for a business to file taxes. QuickBooks is more where you'd go for that. And then there's another one that's more just basic called Wave. Wave is one that is just no frills, nuts and bolts. All you get is, money in, money out. Where's your expenses? Um, I would prefer QuickBooks and Wave over FreshBooks any day. If you want to ask me about what kind of software I do prefer. And now organizing receipts. I believe the best way to do that, you can either keep it in your QuickBooks and under each expense that comes out, you can keep PDFs, or you scan all this stuff and you keep them in a file like a Google Drive. And that can be organized by month. And so you have that all in one place. All right, separate finances. This is important because it's really easy for people to mix and mingle their personal and their business. So I tell people just get yourself, if you're going to be a legit professional, artistic professional, get an LLC, get yourself a business account, and keep that money separate from your personal money. So every single time you get a coffee, every single time you run out to grab food, you're running here and there with your car. If it's not business related, keep it out of that account. You want to keep that stuff separate. It's just time to be grown up and professional. And that's how I try to break it up that way. Yes, of course, you're gonna every once in a while have a personal thing on your business account, but it is best to keep things separate so you can really know how much your business does cost you at the end of the day. And then professional help, working with a tax expert, good bookkeeper like myself, and also a good CPA who knows the tax laws and what your deductions can be. So some common tax mistakes. Number one, not saving for taxes. This is where I was saying before, that you want to make sure when you get money in, let's say I'm just giving a flat amount right now, you get $1,000, you want to split that up and immediately take a percentage out and throw that into maybe a savings account or just somewhere outside of your main business checking so that you don't touch it. And you know that's held aside for taxes. Let's say you're going to pull 25% of that. So you move $250 over for taxes. Um, and then the rest of it you can use for your operating expenses. You can use for your supplies to keep your business running. You can use to pay yourself, but you do want to save some money aside in a separate account for when the tax bills do come. And let's say you don't owe taxes, you're still going to have to pay your CPA for filing. So at least you know you'll have that money saved aside and you won't feel like you took such a hit. Missing deadlines, that's another one. I feel like paying quarterly taxes with those little coupons every quarter are is helpful because at the end of the day, it really just keeps you on a schedule and it takes that money that you were saving and it pays it forward. And then when tax time does come, it does not give you such a big hit. And you know what? If you paid too much, you'll get the refund back. So I'm a believer in filing quarterlies. Some people, you just have to get on a schedule with it and just know that you're either going to owe less at the end of the day or you're going to get a refund, right? And now overlooking deductions. Some people don't think that certain things that they have are deductible. Like maybe some people didn't know they could write themselves a rent check. Maybe some people didn't know they could write off their car if they were driving to deliver their goods to somebody. You have to really just keep your eyes open, ears open, and pay attention to the things that you can deduct so that you can optimize your tax savings. And then mixing expenses. Again, I go back on that one because that one, it happens all the time. And it just is, it gives you a skewed view on how much your business really is making if you're running all your personal stuff through there all day. So I believe in keeping things separate. Or if you do run your personal stuff in your business account, take a look at it at the end of the month and say, okay, I spent $550 of my personal money. I'm going to move my personal money over there and pay the business back. Some people do that too. All right, some questions. That's me. Again, Mary Therese. I do appreciate you guys listening, and I hope that you got something good out of this, especially the tracking and deductions and making sure things are organized. I'm happy to talk about whatever questions you may have, so please let me know. I do have some helpful resources here. Self-employed tax info is on irs.gov. The accounting tools I recommend, QuickBooks, Wave, and FreshBooks, tax professionals, accountants, and your Chamber of Commerce. I honestly can say that they have helped me a lot with my business in ways I didn't expect. So there's a lot of resources in your local Chamber of Commerce. And then my email is here at the bottom, mt@mtybooks.com. And that's it for the slides. So I'm going to stop the share and open the uh, door for any questions.
So I hope you ladies have some questions. Who wants to? Because that was a lot. So you might have come to this event with something in mind that you wanted to hear about. So you want to raise a hand. I can't see Tallene, but you can shout out. Tallene has a question.
Can I write off my business clothing?
So there, every couple of years that's written on and off. The IRS does give allowances for it. And right now it's currently not. But what I do with that is I do promotional. Um, it's a promotional expense. You don't have to write the line item for business clothing, but um, you were wearing that because you were at an event out at the art gallery, and this was promotional.
And you have to present yourself in a certain way for
Correct.
certain types of events.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be written just promotional?
Just promotional or advertising. Yeah. I
Okay.
have Yeah, I have advertising and promotional on my income statement.
Good
And
question, Tolene. I didn't know that.
that does change administration to administration. It depends who's in office. So
Right. And it's always huge, the changes every
yeah,
year with this kind of stuff. Oh my goodness.
yeah, so there is a little loophole for that one, and it's promotional.
Basha, do you have anything that you're thinking about?
I do. Uh, as an artist, it's hard to earn a profit.
Yeah.
And I was told kind of at the beginning, at the end of last year, that I will probably be audited because I haven't shown a profit. And I don't know, I actually don't know any artist who's really shown a profit. But how do you deal with that? What do you do?
I mean, do you have backup for what you've
Oh,
spent?
yeah, all kinds
And
of backup. I have all kinds of professional things. I mean, it's,
as long as they can see, yes, you have brought in income, but this is, your expenses that were higher than your income, unfortunately, or um, there's if you're paying some taxes,
yeah,
yeah. So I don't think that it's not like they're going to shut you down. I don't know if you'd be audited. Um, I mean, in this day and age with things going on too, I don't know if they'll come up
They look
after.
more at missing income
Yeah.
than they do at, as long as you have receipts and you have reasons for why you did XYZ and you have no missing income that they've come upon. I've heard through the grapevine, they're not as snarky. I don't know the word I want to use, but
And they're severely
it's,
understaffed right now, so I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I wouldn't guarantee that, but yeah.
I would say keep receipts, right?
Yeah.
Basha, keep your receipts, have your little notes about what everything was. I'm not an artist, but I do that with the magazine. I'm actually type A about, my records, what every single thing was, why I was there, you know, and then just making sure I've written down every single last thing that I've taken in. And I think that, I mean, you're the expert, Mary Therese, not me, but that's kind of how I look at it as a business owner. If I'm keeping super detailed records and they come after me, here it all is, there's nothing, everything's transparent.
It's transparent and there's no right for them to say, well, why are you having a business? This is American dream.
Or
This is
if you
what we're
make a
here for.
mistake and
Right.
it's a small mistake, I've heard that too, because I know different jewelry makers who have
Mhm.
been audited too. And a couple small things had come up and they actually were reasonable about, speaking to her about it and what she had to do to make the change. So I think it's more when it looks like it's something underhanded that's being done,
Yeah.
as opposed to it being a small mistake because someone didn't understand or didn't have a CPA maybe or whatever it may be.
Yeah. No,
many,
it's
many years ago, I was audited and my accountant was so angry because it happened that year that the United States Embassy in the Bahamas actually held an art show for me. They sponsored it. So the American Embassy sponsored my artwork. And so my accountant said to me, don't come. She was so furious. And she went, and of course they gave in. But I had newspaper clippings and all kinds of documentation. And you're right, Mary Therese, I kept everything, and that was helpful. Yeah. Sorry, Shelley.
no. It's very interesting. Uh, I call mine an unbusiness because I really don't make any money, but the numbers are so small. I I'd be surprised if they bother me because the entirety of all the numbers are so small, really, compared to some corporate place or something.
Yeah.
Do you have experience with that at all, Mary Therese, where you've seen a much higher percentage of businesses that were making above X, number of dollars being the ones that were targeted more as opposed to, very small business
So I've seen,
owner?
especially with the audits that I've been through, it was a direct correlation with the person's spouse. The one woman, she was a designer, but her husband's law firm was audited. So they started looking to the spouses of the partners. So
Okay.
she was audited, and that was her design business. So we were going to the IRS on Tuesdays and showing every check stub. This is, back when people kept their check stubs. And I was very, very pregnant with my son. And they said, all right, well, we might have you back next week. And we both said, no, we're done here. There was
Oh,
nothing to find. I think and then the other one, it was a very similar situation. The woman's husband was a hedge fund person, and um, they were auditing the hedge fund, but started picking around at the spouses because they want to see where trails of money may be going. So that's the experience I've had with major IRS audits. And it was always linked to something else, not because there was an issue. And then another person that I know got audited, it was because who he had as a client. His client was being audited and had different judgments against him. So they started to look into who he had been paying out and they started auditing those people. So I always find it's usually associated with, from my experience, it's associated with somebody um, that had been audited previously. So.
interesting.
Tolleen, do you have anything else?
No, not really. I mean, I asked that same question to the guy I worked with, and he said, you're small fries. Don't worry about it."
Yeah,
That's all he said.
if they want to come here and go through all my mess of receipts, they're welcome to do it.
That's what he said too. He goes, "Don't worry about it. They're more interested in like the attorneys and the hedge fund guys and like with the examples you gave, that they were more interested in that." So,
I just have a quick question, Mary Therese. I know on one of the slides you said that it's a good idea to create a business like an LLC or something like that in order to keep business accounts separate. Um, do you just find that that's in terms of, since we're talking about audits, that it's easier there as well if you have, rather than doing it as an individual,
Yeah,
um,
so you
your
would,
experience?
there's a layer of protection there too,
Okay.
legal protection. So, that was the business, or, you can be an S corp, and it all depends on how you want to be taxed down the line. But, as a single member LLC, you'll want to make sure that you do pay yourself so that you're not double taxed on income through the business and then through personal. But an accountant can help set you up. I set a lot of companies up online as businesses, and they're looking for it just helps with the write-offs more and the tax advantages. So as Myrna, who has a business, your tax return's not going to let you write off all these things, where if you had Myrna Haskell LLC, you could write off a lot more.
Yeah.
I think now I have a DBA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that too. Yeah. Sanctuary is an LLC. So,
Okay.
I
um,
have S Corp. I have.
okay.
I'm an S corp. I have employees, so um,
And QuickBooks is your favorite, you had mentioned too, and in
for
terms of organizational.
for general businesses, yes, it does connect if you have an online store or if you have some products that you do through Shopify, it can link up to Shopify with and other softwares like that. The design software I use is called Studio Designer. That is interior design centric. But yeah, QuickBooks or Wave, I would say. Those are the best quick,
I'm glad you brought up the stores because, there are a lot of artists now that sell their work through other locations.
Yeah,
Sometimes like an artsy type thing, but some artists set up their websites where they can sell directly from the websites. And then you can get
right.
into if you're selling internationally, VAT taxes and all of these kinds of things too, which can get pretty complicated, right?
Yeah,
If you have
so
a store.
Shopify keeps track of the sales taxes, and you can actually just take their reports, and I take their reports and file the sales tax, but they're now offering to file them directly. It just depends on what your business is doing. I don't want to get too far into it, but Shopify does link up with QuickBooks. A lot of those talk to each other, and they're built to talk to each other so that every day you get the feeds from Shopify, you get the feeds from your bank. PayPal connects to all of that too. So if you've got people paying you with PayPal, it's linked up to QuickBooks. They all talk to each other. Yeah. And I mean, it is there to simplify things for you. Some people, they'll come to me and just say, I don't even want to look at it. Just you do it. I want to do my art. And I'm just like, okay, that's fine. I'll show you what happened at the end of the month. That's great. But then there's some people who want to see and want to do the classifying themselves, and QuickBooks it does make it easy if it's set up right from the get-go. Yeah.
Does anybody have anything else?
No.
And Mary Therese, you talked about yourself a little bit. Is there anything else you would like to say about services or anything before we sign off? The services you offer. You mentioned some things when you first introduced yourself, but now that
Yeah.
you've heard some of the questions, is there anything else you want to tell our guests?
Well, I appreciate any questions and don't feel silly for asking them. I'd rather you ask the questions than not. So you can always private message me about that. But I do people's payroll. I do bank reconciliations. I'm very well versed in sales tax. Again, I mentioned that. And no project's too small. So if you do need help with anything, please reach out. I'm happy to pop in and help you out.
Thanks so much for everybody for joining us today.
Thank
Tax tips
you.
for artists.
Great job. Thank
Thank you. All
you.
Thank you,
right, take care.
Wonderful.
everybody. Take
All right.
care.